I'm Dave Forehand. We're in the garden at the Dallas Arboretum, and today I'm talking about snowball viburnum, Chinese snowball. This thing is beautiful. It's in full bloom right now as I speak here. We're in the first weeks of April, and every year this puts on quite a show. A lot of folks visit and they think this is a type of hydrangea because they're used to seeing big white, large flower heads like this on hydrangeas, but it's actually a viburnum called Viburnum macrocephalum. It's a really large budded flowering type of viburnum, and these can get quite large. The tree behind me here is about 12 feet high. Very, very easy to grow. It's a nice green shrub. It'll hold most of its leaves even through our winter. It's very cold hardy, and the flowers are freeze proof too. They'll begin to bud up even in February, but they'll wait till we warm up. In the first warm days of spring, they really open up. You'll have this beautiful, beautiful bright white bloom all over this particular shrub. So it's a great one to try. I recommend it. Give it enough space. You'll buy these small and you'll think it fits the space, but you see what happens over the course of a few years. They get quite large. You can prune them back pretty hard, but never prune them in the fall because that's when the buds have set. If you're going to prune them, you have to prune them right after they bloom in the spring because they set their buds for the next year in the fall. So never prune them, but in the early spring after they've bloomed, of course. Great choice. Come out and see these. They're sprinkled throughout the Arboretum. I think you'll love them. It's a great place to stand and get.
Thanh xin chào tất cả quý vị đến với cốc MB. Quý vị nhìn bụi cây bông này đoán thử giùm Thanh là có mấy cây bông được trồng sát nhau để tạo ra một bụi bông to như vậy. Thực sự là chỉ có một cây thôi đó quý vị mà cho ra tới mấy trăm cái bông luôn. Cây bông này có tên gọi là tú cầu tuyết, xuất xứ từ Trung Quốc. Cây dễ trồng và nở rất nhiều bông. Thanh rất thích nên làm video này để giới thiệu cây bông tới tất cả quý vị. Thanh mua cây ở tiệm Lowe's vào mùa xuân năm 2019. Lúc mua cây thấp khoảng 3 feet mà đã có nhiều bông rồi. Sau 2 năm trồng thì như quý vị thấy trong video là bụi cây mọc cao tùm hơn, cành mọc vươn cao ra. Chỗ này Thanh trồng cũng hơi nhỏ hẹp nên Thanh cắt ngắn các cành và có tỉa bỏ bớt vài cành nữa. Cây này cành không có mọc mà chỉ thẳng lên, mà các cành bung chì ra như là hình chiếc nón lá. Giờ thì thân cành còn thấp nên nhìn như là một bụi cây to. Thanh thấy hình ở trên mạng á, có nhiều cây có cái thân tròn cao lên, rồi ở trên á, là tàn lá và bông rất là nhiều, nhìn rất tích luôn. Mà Thanh thì không có rõ khi cây của Thanh mọc cao hơn nữa đó sẽ nhìn giống như là hình trên mạng hay là chỉ sẽ mọc như là một bụi cây to tùm thôi. Quý vị nhìn bông chắc nghĩ là cùng dòng họ với bông cẩm tú cầu phải không nè? Thực sự thì tú cầu tuyết và cẩm tú cầu là hai cây bông khác loại. Tú cầu tuyết thuộc chi kim ngân hoa, còn cẩm tú cầu thuộc chi tú cầu. Tú cầu tuyết bụi mọc cao tới khoảng 10 feet là tương đương 3 mét, còn cẩm tú cầu thì bụi mọc cao khoảng 6 feet, 1m8. Tú cầu tuyết nở bông rộ nhất vào mùa xuân và nở bông lần thứ hai vào cuối hè. Cây của Thanh thì nở rực rỡ vào tháng 4, sau đó thì bông nở lác đác cho tới cuối hè. Tới cuối hè thì nở bông đợt 2, nhưng mà không có nhiều như là đợt đầu. Sau đó thì bông lại nở lác đác cho tới cuối tháng 12 luôn. Còn cẩm tú cầu thì thường chỉ nở hoa vào mùa hè thôi. Cây bông tú cầu tuyết rất dễ trồng luôn quý vị. Mình không cần phải chăm sóc cây nhiều mà cây vẫn phát triển rất tốt, khỏe và nhanh. Điều Thanh thích nhất là mùa hè lá cây không có bị bệnh đốm đen lá như là mấy cây cẩm tú cầu Thanh trồng ở nhà. Trồng cây ở chỗ nước không có bị ứ động, nước thoát tốt. Cây thích đất axit cho nên lúc mình trồng cây mình trộn vô đất nhà khá peat moss, phân hữu cơ, và sau đó thì bón phân dành cho cây thích đất axit. Cây phát triển mạnh nhất ở zone 6 và zone 7, zone 8 và zone 9 mình trồng cũng được. Trồng ở những cái zone có mùa hè nóng như zone 7 cho tới zone 9 thì Thanh thấy nên trồng chỗ cây nhận được nhiều bóng râm sau 12 hay là 1 giờ trưa. Khi bông tàn thì mình nên cắt tỉa liền, đừng có chờ tới cuối đông mới cắt tỉa thì lúc này quá trễ, cây đã bắt đầu nhú ra nụ rồi. Vào đầu tháng 3 là Thanh đã thấy cây có rất là nhiều nụ nhỏ. Lúc đầu nụ có màu xanh, rồi từ từ khi bông nở bung ra hết sẽ chuyển qua màu trắng rất là xinh. Bông to nhất Thanh đo được là gần 9 inch, khoảng 23 cm. Mà Thanh thấy phần lớn bông to khoảng 6 inch là khoảng 15 cm thôi. Bông này không có mùi thơm. Tuy cây thuộc chi kim ngân hoa nhưng mà cây lại không có kết trái. Mấy clip này Thanh thâu là bông nở bung lụa được 15 ngày rồi đó quý vị. So với cẩm tú cầu thì Thanh thấy cẩm tú cầu nở bông lâu tàn hơn. Thanh nghe nói tú cầu tuyết xuất xứ từ Nhật Bổn, cho bông cũng đẹp lắm, tuy là size bông nhỏ hơn của Trung Quốc. Thanh thấy thân cành bông của Nhật Bổn mọc có vẻ như thẳng gọn gàng hơn. Cho nên nếu quý vị tìm được loại của Nhật Bổn hay là của Trung Quốc đều nên trồng thử. Thanh nghĩ quý vị sẽ rất thích ngắm cây bông này.
Hey everybody, Dave Forehand, Dallas Arboretum. It's the digital Dallas blooms. We're bringing all the beautiful beauty of Dallas blooms to you digitally this year. And I'm here with our snowball viburnum. It's a viburnum. Macrocephalum is the scientific name. A lot of people think this is a hydrangea, but it's actually in the viburnum family, but it has these gorgeous white balls of flowers. All the individual flowers are covering this, and we wanted to bring this to you. We've mentioned it before, but we're right in peak bloom here, and I thought just had to show you this gorgeous, beautiful thing that blooms. It's one of the showstoppers for us every year when it's in full bloom, and I'm glad I can bring it to you here digitally this year. So enjoy. We'll see you real soon. I'm Dave Forehand with the Dallas Arboretum.
Hello everyone, I'm Richard Schulhoff, Director of the LA County Arboretum, here on a beautiful April day. And this time of year there are so many show-stopping plants in bloom, but I want to show you one of my very favorites. This is the Chinese snowball. It's a viburnum, not a hydrangea. So many people mistake it for a hydrangea. But this is one of the great plants this time of year. And what I love about it is that when the blooms first open, they're this really delicate, beautiful apple green. And then as the blooms mature, they become a nice, pure white. And another great aspect of this plant is that practically all the blooms open at once. And pretty soon you find yourself in a blizzard of snowballs. So the Chinese snowball, one of the great shows to be seen during the springtime in the landscape. And on this beautiful April day, happy spring from the LA County Arboretum.
It only goes up to maybe zone 6 and then into warmer areas. It gets very large clusters of flowers like this big. But the European snowball bush actually gets more flower clusters. They're only about baseball size, but they're equally as showy. When they're in bloom, you know, they're just absolutely covered in flowers. These are sterile flowers on this variety. It does not get, and it actually gets a cranberry looking fruit on it in the fall. It's not edible, but it's, if you're looking for a cold, hardy, super showy spring flowering shrub, this European snowball bush is a great choice for that. So here it is in the ground. Look how much growth this thing has put on it. All that light green stem. This thing wakes up in the spring and is in a big hurry. It can grow a foot or two really quickly in the early spring. When the summer heat kicks in, it pretty much stops growing. So, you know, but it is fast growing. It can put on a lot of growth very quickly when it wakes up in the spring. This is definitely a full sun or part shade plant. If you put this in the deep shade, it'll stretch out on you. Probably will live and grow fine. It just won't give you a lot of flowers though, probably, and just be a very thin plant. But these are just really beautiful flowers, and they'll finish with a tinge of pink or red in them later. thank you very much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for future videos. Thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, it's almost a drag for me to show you this plant right now because it's not in its prime. This is Viburnum macrocephalum, the Chinese snowball viburnum. Now viburnums you're going to start to learn as really utilitarian plants that can handle a variety of conditions. Viburnums are one of the most popular shrubs in landscaping. This is called the snowball viburnum, Viburnum macrocephalum, the Chinese snowball viburnum. This is a deciduous shrub, hardy from zone 6 through 9. It's actually a Chinese native. It can get around 20 foot high, spreading out 20 foot wide, so give it plenty of room to bloom. You could prune this plant up a little bit to show off the stems on the bottom if you needed to grow other plants underneath it. The leaves are oppositely arranged on the stem. The stems are pubescent. The leaves are pubescent. When younger, then kind of losing that pubescence as they get a little bit older. Fine serrations on the edges of the landscape tip. Place as a specimen or in groups for the shrub border foundations. Hey plant gang, out here on the road trying to get you a update on Viburnum macrocephalum, the snowball viburnum. Look at this thing in full bloom. Great chartreuse blooms are really showing out. Wanted you to see it in full bloom. Sometimes we can get both a spring bloom and a fall bloom in East Tennessee. Great plant, you need to know it.
So this is Little Lime hydrangea, and this was our very first dwarf panicle hydrangea introduction. Not surprisingly, Little Lime is a dwarf version of our best-selling Limelight hydrangea, but Limelight gets to be 6 to 8 feet tall, so though it's a totally fabulous plant, not everyone has room for it. Almost anyone has room for Little Lime, which gets to be just 3 to 5 feet tall and wide, so it's a good space saver. It has the same great performance and beauty of Limelight hydrangea, but just in a smaller package. And they have this really pretty kind of jade green color. So this is Little Quickfire hydrangea. And as you might guess by the name, it is a dwarf version. Now, what makes both Little Quickfire and Quickfire so special is that it is the first panicle hydrangea to bloom each season. For us here in Michigan, it's usually in bloom by 4th of July. And that's a really great feature because it means that you get flowers over a much longer period. And particularly if you live in an area with cooler summers, you'll always be guaranteed of enjoying a full show from the white flower to the great red color that's developing. That gives it a little bit more of an open, kind of informal look. It also makes it much more fragrant, so you can smell a nice honey scent coming off this right now. And it also makes it a really great plant for pollinators because they can actually find where all of the pollen and nectar are in these little fertile florets. Now this little cutie is Bobo hydrangea, and that's a silly name, but this plant is no joke. You can see that the flowers are nice and full, but they have almost kind of a lacy effect. You can also see, and this is very important, now these flowers, as they age, will turn kind of a soft pink. Color is not the #1 reason to grow Bobo, really it's size and the sheer coverage of its blooms is. So I hope you enjoyed this closer look at some of our best-selling dwarf panicle hydrangeas. These are perfect if you have a small space. They're great for containers. They're great if you just want to have another panicle hydrangea and you don't have room for one of those big full-size ones like we showed in our other video.
The Hydrangea Valley is a real feature area for us at Treba through the summer. For those of interest, it takes us around about 2.5 to 3 weeks. Hydrangea macrophylla Aisha is a little more unusual form of deciduous hydrangea. Rather than having the flattened petals, it has cup-shaped petals that are usually pink, lilac or blue, depending on the acidity or alkalinity of the soil. Hydrangea macrophylla Zorro has deep blue flowers in our acid soil. The inner flowers are very small and fertile, with the outer petals being much larger and quite showy. It also has the added bonus of dark black stems, which really do stand out against the flowers. Hydrangea aspera subspecies sargentiana is another one of those rather unusual hydrangeas growing at Treba. It has peeling white bark and velvety ovate leaves, but the star of the show are the flowers. The flowers are purple and are surrounded by white rare florets. It's definitely one to find a space for on the back of the border if you have the room, and will give added value through the season. Hydrangea macrophylla Generale Vicomtessa de Vibray is a wonderful blue hydrangea for us at Treba. As many of you will know, the key to getting that lovely blue colour is the acidity of the soil. Hydrangea quercifolia, or the oak-leafed hydrangea as it's commonly known, is a rather nice hydrangea at Treba. It tolerates dry conditions than other hydrangeas and does well on a sunny bank. It has panicles of creamy white flowers at this time of the year, and later as we move into autumn, it has gorgeous autumn tints to the leaves. We couldn't mention featured areas.
Behind me, we have the endless summer variety, and we have over 75% of our property surrounded by these beautiful flowers. We have 12 different varieties of hydrangeas with many colors because of our different soil types here on property. 25 acres, front and back of the hotel, have different soil types such as sand, clay, or just regular plain old soil. We fertilize twice a year our hydrangeas and also prune in the fall. Guests often ask us how we get so many colors in our hydrangeas. We do not alter our soil by any way, shape, or means. We just have different variety soil types. You can, at home, change the color of your hydrangeas. You can put aluminum sulfite to make them blue, or you can put sulfa to make them pink, which you can find those two products at any garden center where you are from. That's a great tip when you're watering your hydrangeas at home. You are caring for a hydrangea, you never want to take 30% or more off. So when we do our pruning in the fall, September, October, we go down to the third bud of every stick of hydrangea and cut. And then we shape. From there, we go down to fertilize it and get it ready to be put to bed. But also we have many different varieties in different bloom times. So the endless summer usually comes out mid-June until the end of July. We also have limelight hydrangeas every month on the different variety hydrangeas that we have. We also have Merit Supremes, Teller's Blue. We have Glowing Embers. We have Blushing Brides down on our wedding walk. We also have climbing hydrangeas and a few other varieties. We try to plant 250 to 300 hydrangeas every year to add to our campus. Local community and visitors of Cape Cod to come tour our gardens and walk our path.
Ones I have coming in this year. First one is called Bar Harbor. Basically, it is a dwarf Annabelle hydrangea. If you're familiar with the old-fashioned, some people call them the white mop head. Hydrangea Cape May is a macrophylla type. This one was actually had a different name last year. It was called Let's Dance Can last year. Hydrangea Newport is another macrophylla that I have coming in. Firelight Tidbit is a panicle hydrangea. Limelight Prime is one of the new proven winners, panicle hydrangeas. So again, it prefers full sun. Hydrangea Little Hottie is a new one. I'll be getting it from Bailey Nurseries. Hydrangea Quickfire Fab is another paniculata type that we're getting in. It reminds me almost of the Little Lamb that used to be on the market probably a good 15 years ago now. Little Lime Punch. And then I have two oak leaf hydrangeas. And then this one is called Burrito. And then the final hydrangea is the variegated Miranda.